My first weapons book since the first 5 years ago is now out. Deadly Ingenuity, a history of unusual weapons from around the world and across time. I went with paperback this time to keep the cost down, because when you have color images and hardcover, it really adds to the retail price. And of course I wanted to stick with color photographs, so that's why I went with the soft cover. And it might not look that big, but this is just about 80,000 words of text. And so there's plenty of information packed in there. As I promise in some of the marketing type of blurbs that I had to write, even the well-seasoned martial arts and weapons reader will find all kinds of new information in here. Flipping through the text here in a second, you're going to get glimpses of the 35 color pictures that there are. Some are weapons from my own collection, usually they're not, sometimes they're things from museums, and some other more out-of-the-way visual sources. And this took years to produce. I'm very glad to announce it seems to be doing pretty well. How about this? On Amazon, #1 new release under Weapons and Warfare. That is really, really neat to see. I mean, it's just so much work. You think you're never going to finish. It gets depressing at some point, always, especially the closer you get towards the end. I absolutely cannot afford to just write books for a living, so juggling the intense research and writing and revising with the day job, it truly gets mentally difficult at some point. There's a reason, most books that get started never get finished. Like Unexpected Sources, the one I showed a second ago was the Irish mythological cycle and Celtic mythology. In the same chapter, the Dublin University Magazine 1837 edition. Here's a really awesome old illustration that I love. You'll have to read the book if you want to find out why that's pertinent to the work. It was from 1815, you might have noticed. Here's a fun quotation. As may be inferred from its shape, it is not merely used as a striking weapon, but is driven violently backward and forward against the body of the antagonist. This chapter here, as you can see, called The Little Barbs of Mars. Some of you will get the historical reference there. That chapter goes from Norse mythology to prehistory, to the ancient Greeks and Romans, to modern England. I'm leaving something out. Oh yeah, the Far East. I really like this approach to historical writing. Take an object, follow its path, and see where it takes you. And really scour for sources in that attempt, right? And leave no stone unturned. And speaking of that, have an entire chapter on stones and throwing them by hand. There are a whole lot of surprises in there, I promise. The book is divided into 4 parts. The 4th part mostly deals with common everyday objects used in weaponry. But speaking of the parts and their titles, my favorite part title is part number 3, which I think has some really novel research. And anyway, it is called Sticks and Stones and Broken Bones. And so from the very, very first objects ever used belligerently to everyday objects to some crazy things, like I have a whole chapter on saltwater. I'd be willing to bet a lot nobody has ever written a chapter before about saltwater and its uses in martial arts. So anyway, that is the book. Please feel free to check it out. It's available on Amazon and all kinds of other online retailers, not just there. And it's available in both print and electronic versions. Thanks for watching.